scorching Mesopotamian sun beat down on the ziggurat of Nippur, casting long, ominous shadows across the bustling city. Within the cool confines of the temple, a disquiet hung heavy in the air. Ninurta, the god of war, thunder, and agriculture, a figure of unmatched strength and fury, paced restlessly. His normally vibrant eyes, the color of a summer sky, were clouded with a simmering rage. A messenger, his face etched with fear, had just arrived, bearing a tale that sent a tremor through even the most stoic deities. The Asag, a monstrous entity born from the primal union of earth and sky, had risen in the eastern mountains. This creature, immune to any weapon, possessed strength that could shatter mountains and a heart as black as a moonless night. He had rallied the Gubaru, an army of warriors carved from the living rock, and declared himself king, a rival to Ninurta's dominion. Panic swept the land as news of the Asag's rebellion spread. Cities fell under siege, their walls crumbling before the relentless attacks of the Gubaru. The fertile plains, once teeming with life, bore the scars of their destructive rampage. Temples lay in ruins, their once sacred halls echoing with the screams of the innocent. Ninurta, his anger a storm brewing within his chest, roared a challenge that echoed through the very foundations of the temple. He would not stand by while his domain was ravaged and his people suffered. Ignoring the pleas of caution from Gula, the goddess of healing, and even Enlil, his father, the sky god, Ninurta prepared for war. He summoned Sharur, his loyal mace, a weapon forged from the first thunderbolt and imbued with the power of 1,000 storms. As Sharur hummed with an electric energy, Ninurta declared, "This day, the Asag will meet his end." His chariot, pulled by 2 snorting, fire-breathing lions, tore across the plains. The earth trembled at their approach, a prelude to the tempest that followed. Ninurta, his eyes blazing with righteous fury, unleashed a hurricane upon the enemy. The sky darkened as wind howled like a banshee, tearing through the ranks of the Gubaru. Their stone bodies, once seemingly invincible, cracked and crumbled under the onslaught. The ground was drenched with a crimson rain, the blood of shattered warriors. But the Asag remained elusive. Like a phantom, he weaved through the storm, his monstrous form a dark silhouette against the raging sky. Frustration gnawed at Ninurta's resolve. He pressed on, his fury boiling over, ignoring the warnings whispered by Sharur, who sensed a trap lurking in the approaching mountain pass. Suddenly, a deafening roar shattered the air. The Asag, with eyes that burned like molten lava, emerged from the shadows, leading a fresh legion of monstrous warriors. This time, their numbers were overwhelming. Ninurta, caught in the vortex of his own rage, found himself surrounded, outnumbered, and outmaneuvered. His attacks, usually devastating, seemed to have little effect on the impervious Asag. Realizing his predicament, Ninurta roared a cry for help, a plea that pierced the heavens. His mace, sensing his plight, abandoned the battlefield and flew at breakneck speed towards Nippur, seeking the intervention of Enlil. In the celestial halls, Enlil watched the battle unfold. His face, etched with concern, mirrored the turmoil within his son. He knew Ninurta's strength, but also his pride, a flaw that could prove fatal. Just as Sharur burst into the chamber, pleading for Ninurta's life, Enlil made a decision. He bestowed upon Sharur the storm of heaven, a power that could rival the fury of 1,000 storms and a mighty club forged from the bones of a celestial beast. With renewed power, Sharur sped back toward the battlefield, a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. The tide of the battle began to turn. Empowered by the storm of heaven, Ninurta's attacks regained their devastating force. He smashed through the ranks of the Gubaru, lightning coursing through his veins. The monstrous warriors, once seemingly unstoppable, fell before him like withered leaves. Finally, Ninurta faced the Asag in a clash of titans. The earth groaned as their powers collided, shaking the very foundations of the mountains. The battle raged for hours, a dance of death between a god and a monstrous entity. Sharur, a blur of silver and lightning, rained blows upon the Asag, chipping away at its seemingly endless reserves of strength. The ground beneath their feet became a crater, a testament to the ferocious struggle. Finally, With a deafening roar that tore through the sky, Ninurta landed a devastating blow on the Asag. The monstrous creature crumpled to the earth, its body shattering into a million fragments. The Gubaru, leaderless and demoralized, crumbled before the remaining forces of Ninurta. Their stone bodies, once instruments of terror, became mere rubble scattered across the battlefield. As victorious but weary, Ninurta surveyed the devastation. The land was scarred, its beauty marred by the conflict. Yet, amidst the wreckage, a flicker of hope remained. With the Asag vanquished, peace could return. However, Ninurta's responsibility extended beyond vanquishing enemies. He was also a god of agriculture, and the lands cried out for his nurturing touch. The Tigris River, once a life-giving source, had become a stagnant shadow of its former self. The fields lay barren, devoid of crops, a stark reminder of the suffering caused by the Asag's reign. Undeterred, Ninurta embarked on a new mission, a work of creation as opposed to destruction. He channeled the mountain waters, diverting their flow into a network of canals and streams. These veins of life snaked across the land, nourishing the parched earth. As if by magic, the fields began to show signs of renewal. Tiny shoots of green emerged from the soil, a testament to Ninurta's power and the unyielding resilience of life. Weeks turned into months, and the once barren landscape transformed into a tapestry of vibrant green. Fields heavy with barley swayed gently in the breeze, promising bountiful harvests. The people, who had watched in awe as the land was reborn, rejoiced. They sang hymns to Ninurta, hailing him not just as a warrior, but as a life-giver, the one who had ensured their survival. One day, while surveying his work, Ninurta felt a familiar presence approach. His mother, Ninma, the goddess of motherhood and creation, stood before him, her face etched with a mixture of pride and concern. They had not seen each other since the start of the conflict, and Ninurta's heart swelled with a longing he hadn't realized he possessed. Their reunion was filled with warmth and tenderness. Ninma marveled at her son's accomplishments, his strength used not just for destruction, but for creation and renewal. Touched by her love, Ninurta bestowed upon her a new name, Ninhursag, Lady of the Mountain. He declared the mountains a source of bounty, promising them to yield herbs that could heal any wound, honey and wine to bring joy, and precious metals to adorn his temples. Finally, his attention turned to the remnants of the Gubaru. Not all the stone warriors had fought against him. Some had remained neutral, hesitant to take sides in the conflict. Ninurta, in his newfound wisdom, recognized their neutrality. Those who had shown restraint were spared, destined to become guardians and protectors of various regions. Their once emotionless faces were now imbued with a sense of duty, their forms a constant reminder of the consequences of unchecked rage. However, for those who had actively fought against him, a different fate awaited. The cruel and destructive ones were subjected to various forms of punishment. Some, like the treacherous diorite, were destined to be smashed into tiny fragments, a symbolic dismantling of their malevolent nature. Others, like the deceitful flint, were condemned to an eternity of being chipped away at until they were nothing more than dust. Ninurta's story became a legend whispered across the wind, a cautionary tale woven into the fabric of Sumerian society. It spoke of the dangers of unchecked ambition, the devastating consequences of rage, and the importance of balance between strength and wisdom. But most importantly, it celebrated the power of creation, the ability to heal the wounds of war and bring life back to the barren land. The legend of Ninurta served as a reminder that even the most powerful gods were not above learning from their mistakes, for true strength resided not just in brute force, but in the ability to cultivate peace and prosperity.